Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with a very exciting video. As some of you may or may not know, I applied to the WPF quite some time ago, and after joining and entering many speed tours, conquering exactly zero, we were in fact selected to compete in this season of WPF. And so this is very exciting. It is a bit nerve-wracking. This is the first time I'm dipping my toes back into like a normal draft community. Like ADL is obviously a normal draft community, but they play Ubers, which I've said it before and I'll say it again. I play ADL because the people there are legendary and goated on the sticks, not because I particularly enjoy Ubers. It's fun, but like normal draft league or like what is it, the regulars here, that's what gets me hype. So today we are here with our first league since TEC, and there's some familiar faces. Oren Latios, who we've played before in TEC and whatnot. He was a playoff contender with us in the most recent season of TEC. He's in the Psycho Boost division. JK, who was also in TEC, is in our division, which is the speed division. So the way it works is there's Psycho Boost, attack, speed, and defense, I think, is the order of them. So we're second to last, which is totally chill. Not like upset about that or anything. Super happy I got in. I think Fat Rat, if you guys know Fat Rat, the GOAT, there's videos of him, I think, battling him on the channel. But yeah, Fat Rat's here. Whole bunch of the guys, so sorry, I'm very thirsty. It's also very late. I got off work like at 6, went to the gym, got home, wrote a little bit, and then did some more studying and other what stuff. And now we're here. It's 11:52 p.m. So I'm gonna try to get in and get out pretty quickly and get to bed because I have to work tomorrow. So hopefully you're having a great day, morning, whatever you're watching. And here is the draft breakdown. So the way the draft works is because there's like no Pokemon anywhere in anything. There needs to be 2 different pools for the draft. So there is a pool A for my tier, and there's a pool B for my tier. And so the way it works is everyone in pool. Oh no, that opened up in the wrong one. Everyone in pool A, you didn't see that. Everybody in pool A has one draft board, and everybody in pool B has another draft board. So as we go through the season, we'll probably face some dupes. But yeah, that's how it works. The reason is obviously is because even post home there aren't a ton of mods to pick from, and so it needs to be split up a little bit just so everyone can get like a usable team. Otherwise we'd all have like one good guy, maybe one good support guy, and then like a bunch of trash. So makes sense, checks out, math works for me. And yeah, so we got the 6th pick out of an 8-man pool, which goes back to my normal luck. So after getting that first overall pick in ADL, saving up 4 years of draft experience for that one good pick, we're back to 4 years of drought before we get another good pick. And I think 4th to 6th might be the worst pick in like 8-man. I think like 1-2 is good, and then the last pick is really good. 4 through 6, they suck. I can't even lie. I got sniped 7 times in this draft, which you'll see later on. But yeah, that's the way of the road, I guess. So we had the 6th pick. And actually, I can pull up on Discord, which I have on my other monitor. We can talk about the first 6 picks that went, because I honestly was worried. I didn't really like a ton of the top tiers in this draft. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love Chen Pao. I love like Palafin, but I knew those 2 were gone. Like those are gone gozo, man, right away. And so I wasn't surprised when those got picked like right off the bat. I think the first 6 picks or first 5 picks were, I can look at it right now. Chen Pao, Dragapult, Palafin, Iron Bundler, and Great Tusk, which means very happy about this. I thought I was gonna have to pick Chi Yu because I did think Chi Yu would fall to 6, but I'm not a huge fan of Chi Yu or like Spectrier. I probably would have picked Spectrier, honestly, if I had to pick between Chi Yu and Spectrier. I love Chi Yu. I think it's great for clicking buttons. However, me and him don't really rock that way. I like Chi Yu, as I said, but not a fan. Instead, I got what I think is maybe the best like late pick in the first round probably of all time. I get Iron Valiant. Hopefully that animation wasn't disgusting like it was on my screen, but yes, we pick up Iron Valiant for the one time, and pretty exciting. I like Iron Valiant a lot. I've used it in speed tours. I think it is really good. I think it might be well, it definitely is, in my opinion, the most versatile Pokemon in like the top tiers, right? If you look at the top tiers, you got like guys like Chen Pao, guys like Great Tusk, guys like excuse me, guys like Chiyu, Palafin, all those guys really do like kind of one thing. I like not in a bad way at all. The only other one that's like is as versatile as Iron Valiant, more versatile probably, is Dragapult. And so I'm pretty happy with all this. Getting this to 6 was really good for me. We had a 116 speed tier, which is not bad at all. It is not our fastest, thankfully. I do not want 116 as my fastest guy. But yeah, 130 attack, 120 special attack is great. It doesn't do much on the defensive side, but it doesn't really matter. It will be putting in the work offensively in both ways. It can be, even it could be support, right? You got a lot of good support options like Encore, Disable, Demon, stuff like that. I don't think it gets teleport, but it does get taunt and stuff like that, trick. And so it's a very great Pokemon all the way around, no matter how you look at it. Calm Mind, you know, bulk up, SD, very good at setup on both sides. Yeah, overall very solid mod. Super hyped that I got this at 6th overall pick. I like honestly wouldn't have thought I ever get that. But yeah, I've named it Integrity. I named all these guys last night at 11 p.m. because I was gonna record this last night, but instead I just made the slides so I could record tonight after gym and work. But yes, on Tuesdays, on Thursdays and Fridays I work out with my coach in like town. And so it's like a 40-minute drive on the way home. So I'm usually like, sometimes it's like a 3-hour workout. We get home late. So by the time I get all of my work done and you like can play Pokemon, I'm already dead tired. So tonight, instead of, you know, anything else, I decided to do this and put it out. So super excited. We got Iron Valiant at the 6th overall pick. I think even if I got the first pick, I might have taken this guy. Honestly, like I think it's really good. I should probably would have taken Chien-Pao, but Chien-Pao that's my dog. Me and Chien-Pao in the cut sitting sideways. However, not today because we didn't get the first overall pick. But yeah, great pick for us. Super happy about that. Things going back now. Not really sure what to pick to pair with this guy. All the other picks I wasn't totally set on. I remember this is my first draft league of this gen. I know I'm a little bit more inexperienced than some of the other drafters coming into it in terms of this specific metagame, as I'm not as familiar. But a really safe pick that I liked a lot was Garchomp. So Garchomp, Kindness to Garchomp, which I named after the actual Garchomp I used in my my like actual Scarlet run when I was playing the game. I had a Garchomp, I named it Kindness. I usually name my Garchomp Choji, but I got really attached to that one for no reason at all. But yeah, very similar in the sense that it is a pretty safe pick. I do really like Garchomp a lot. It doesn't really cover any weaknesses for Iron Valiant, which is like okay because it's my second pick. It also gives me a really good rocker and spike setter. And as I went through this draft, I realized in this metagame, Hazard Game is, I think, paramount. I think Hazard Game, you can argue, is way more important than in every other generation thus far. Because before, when you thought about hazards, you kind of had to factor in the momentum you lost by clicking spike or clicking rocks, right? You would lose a turn of either doubling or setup or clicking a button. Now, I think that matters less because a lot of the like premier setters, you're looking at like guys like Lamora who really don't need to lose that much momentum. They're always keeping up pressure while putting up rocks. Or you got guys like Great Tusk who always have an immense amount of defensive presence when they're getting rid or putting up rocks. And then even stuff like Ceaseless Edge, what is that guy called? Samurai Hasui can put up spikes while attacking. And so there's a lot of pressure with hazards. And then like Defog got nerfed. Like there's nobody that learns Defog anymore. So hazards are really big. I'm really glad I got Garchomp because he's a very brilliant hazard setter with rocks, and it got spikes this generation. I don't think we have Scale Shot back, which is like mid, but it's okay. I like Tank Chomp more anyway, generally. Oh, I forgot to mention, we do get one Terra Captain. I will show which one is the Terra Captain. It is not our Garchomp, but I thought about it for a little bit, honestly. But yeah, really great. Stab Earthquake is brilliant off 130 attack. 102 speed is awesome for outspeeding other base 100s, which is a really common speed tier. It also slots nicely. There's a 16-point gap, but it's not too big of a deal as there's not a lot of guys abusing that gap. The fast Pokemon in this tier is like very limited. After Polt, which is after Chien-Pao, really, there's like a very, very small gap between Champ and Iron Valiant. And they're not abusing Kindness that way. So super exciting to get this off the bat. And now we're looking at a few pretty major weaknesses. Right off the rip, we have a double Moonblast weakness, or actually not Moonblast, just double Fairy weakness. And so I'm looking for things to patch that up. I need a good steal. Unfortunately, Corviknight got sniped, which is, if I got this guy, Iron Valiant, and Corviknight, that would have been like mega broken and very good. But I did need a steel type that could get me momentum. I didn't want any of my fairy switches to lose me momentum, especially because I think getting Iron Valiant in and getting Garchomp in, I think is very valuable over the course of my team's playstyle, just because of the Pokemon that they are. So we picked up Scizor in the next slot. So Scizor, pretty happy with. It also did, I wasn't sure, because so many fast Pokemon were going early, if I was going to be able at all to get something faster than Iron Valiant. That I was worth, like, that I felt like was worth spending my points on. Like, I'm not gonna buy a Jolteon like ever unless I want to make it my Terra Captain, in which case, like, I might as well just vomit at that point, you know. But yeah, I did decide to go with this guy. I did think he's the best option, and it does give me Bullet Punch, which I like, again, because of the speed thing. I did want some form of priority. So this is really great for me. It also is one of the few Pokemon that still has Defog, so it gives me our first remover, which is really, really valuable. As I said, like, as we were going through the draft, I think everybody started realizing how limited removal was, and it started completely changing how everyone was drafting. There was a lot more focus on at least getting one solid remover, and this can definitely do the job week to week if it needs to do that. However, I don't think it will need to, as our other two remover forms are good. And yeah, by the end of the draft, we do have 3 forms of removal, which actually I think puts us up with like some of the best removal in the league, like in our division, I do think personally. But yeah, Chomp second is great, or no, not Chomp second, but you know, Scizor third is really great. The next pick I wanted was a good poison, because as I said, we do kind of need a more solid way to check fairies, right? We have this switch into fairy, which is great, but because we have 2 weaknesses to fairy, we don't really want to get out momentum into fairy too bad. So we do want a way to keep momentum, or at least try to win it back in some form. But that unfortunately doesn't really happen. My next pick isn't actually the next pick I made. The next pick I made was Garganacl, but that got dropped in Grace. I did a lot of rebuilding in Grace. I think I dropped 6 Pokemon overall. The next Pokemon, yeah, I drafted... what was it I drafted? I drafted Garganacl, and then I drafted Kilowattrel, because a lot of the things that were faster than Meowscarada, what I aimed for was I wanted something at least faster than Meowscarada, because I feel like in this metagame, Meowscarada is a very solid speed tier for your top speed. I think it is really perfect. It does everything pretty well, I think, and I think it's a great like top pick. But yeah, I decided I really did want something faster than Meowscarada, and we do get it, but for the time being, I picked up Kilowattrel. Then I picked Toxapex, none of which stayed. The next pick that stayed would be this Pokemon, which we did keep even in Grace, which is Decidueye. I picked it because it does have Defog. That's pretty much the only reason, and because we did need a ground resistance, and a water resistance. Really solid Pokemon. I think it does give us another poison weakness, but we have 2 resistances already. And like I said, it gives me Defog with momentum, so Defog U-turn is really great. It does get Swords Dance. It is also a pretty solid defensive Pokemon in this tier, I think, especially with the threats being a little more limited. Again, it's not really looking like it's taking hits from like stuff that it's worried about in Natdex tiers. Like, it's not really worried about all that. For the threats that it has to handle, it is a very solid Pokemon, I think. And so yeah, we picked up this guy. I named it Deadlock because I did. I think Long Reach is actually going to be a clutch ability. I can think of a few situations where it's good. But yeah, pretty solid. It's a very simple guy. It doesn't do it too much. Like, it can run Swords Dance. Like, the amount of sets it can run is like Swords Dance, Defog, defensive U-turn. Like, it's very simple. He gives us a knockoff spam, which is also cool. It gives us priority in Sucker Punch and, I believe, Shadow Sneak. Spirit Shackle is really good if I need to open up something eventually in the future. For example, this might bait in a flying type, which we could maybe trick around and do some tomfoolery with, and then we can get back Garchomp in for the spam Earthquake one time. And so yeah, pretty solid. Gives me another U-turner. Now we have 2 Pokemon with momentum to get our big threats in. Next pick that I made, I also kept. Because our team at the end of the draft, I picked up 2 water types in Toxapex and this Pokemon, because at the beginning I wanted Toxapex because I thought it was a really solid poison for supporting my top 2, but at the end of the day it just didn't really work. It was too slow, it was too ungood. I know it got nerfed a lot, and I just really wanted it to switch into Moonblast. and put up toxic spikes, because again, I think toxic spikes and a grounded poison in general is way better than it was in previous generations. Like, I genuinely do think having T spikes is like incredible, right? Because a lot of the grounded poisons, you kind of need a grounded poison to absorb it because there's not a lot of defoggers left, right? And so, because of that, we were actually like super weak to Chin Pao and any physical ice type attack. And so I went ahead and I picked up Dondozo, named it Wisdom. So we do have Dondozo in 2 ongoing leagues, which is pretty great. Very simple guy. It does gives me a very solid Chin Pao answer, as long as I don't, I'm not an idiot with its HP. Unaware is a great ability in this tier. I mean, it's always a great ability. And Chin Pao SF has some good options with like the Rest Talk set. It also has actually pretty good like move pool in general. I think like it's not like the greatest thing ever, but having access to stuff like Heavy Slam, Outrage, and Rock Slide are all very solid. Like it's like not at all something to sneeze at. It can hit its counters with like I believe it gets Ice Fang and stuff like that. Like, it's not gonna be blowing stuff back. But 150 HP and 115 defense, even with the 65 special defense, that's not bad at all when you have like that much HP. This is a really fat guy. Like, do not underestimate this. This guy is really clicking in. He's taking every button. It does lose a little bit of momentum, but we do have enough momentum earners that I don't think it's that big of a deal. Having one passive guy is annoying, but again, I don't even think Dozo is that passive because it's always threatening rest, right? Or like what do you call that? Not bulk up, but is it bulk up? No, it's curse. Yeah, curse sets. Yawn to earn a little bit of momentum on the switch, and so yeah, I'm a big fan of Dozo. I think it'll be great, and this is where Pokemon that we drafted stop. After this is all stuff we made in Grace. And after the draft is over, I noticed something. And so this happened while Home was coming out. So I laddered a little bit, but I haven't played too much of it. But I did notice while I was playing, there was one Pokemon that I thought was genuinely very underrated. I think Chien-Pao, it's a different topic, but I think Chien-Pao, Mag, and all those guys are definitely going to get banned. I don't think it's a big deal. I think they're looking at Light Clay ban. I think that's an interesting answer, but I don't think that's very smart in terms of like fixing the actual issue. I think if you even if you remove screens, I think like Chien-Pao and Bagirna and all those guys that are abusing screens are still a problem, and so it doesn't fix the actual issue. I think just getting rid of those guys is more important than the light screen or the light clay. Yeah, but that's beside the point. The other thing that I thought was most broken, which got a quick ban instantly, was Regieleki, and Regieleki was still available after the entire draft was over. And so I swooped it up and picked up Regieleki. I don't know why the picture is that bad. Holy smokes. But it is Regieleki. I named it Data Breach because I think it's a funny name. And then having 200 speed obviously will make us the fastest team in the entire draft league, or at least have the fastest cap. Unless I actually think there's might be like a Pokemon faster. I don't think so though. I can't really think of any that's like faster than this guy, right? Who's faster? No one really, right? Yeah, Regieleki is the fastest Pokemon, which is pretty sick. I did give it the Terra Captain, so now it does have access to Stab, Bolt Beam, which I thought was broken. When I was playing in the tier, I was really trying to think about what was beating this, and I think that like if you're thinking about what's beating Chien-Pao and stuff, it is stuff like Terra, Water, Landorus, and Dondozo, and so Regieleki is beating both those, right? Because it can Terra Ice for the base, like whatever, and then it has Thunderbolt, like just Stab Thunderbolt in the back if they want to Terra or keep their natural type. So I was really happy with this. Transistor is going to be boosting our special attack electric type moves by 50. Even Terra Blast normally like is already a boost because it had to like run Swift to hit grounds before, but now it can run a base 80 move. Amazing. It gives us stream speed and it is dual screens as well. But yeah, super great pick. I can't believe this is still left. I honestly do think as the meta progresses, like in Draft League, I think this guy will be definitely a hot topic for ban. I think it will, because when you think about like what it brings to the table, it has Rapid Spin, which gives us our third form of removal. It has, Bolt Beam, Stab pretty much. This will always be the Terra Captain if it's allowed. In a non-Terra Captain league, obviously it's not very good anymore. It will have value just for being a fast screen setter and have Rapid Spin. I think that is by itself makes it better. But having the dual Stab, Bolt Beam on top of that is just crazy, I think. But yeah, I do think this guy, as like the meta progresses, it will be like it will be definitely, I think, something that people think about banning, or at least like limiting in some way. Like this might be a Terra Captain ban in the future, I think. But I'm not sure. It's just a hot take, or not a hot take, it's just a prediction. The next move we made in free agency would be this guy. And so I was really stuck between this and Rotom because we did need a fire type or a really strong poison type again to switch into those fairy moves. Rotom gave me a what would you call that? Rotom gave me momentum with Volt Switch, but I had an electric type. It didn't stack any weaknesses with Rotom, but I liked this speed tier better. And originally I did have Rotom, but then Orin told me, Arcanine is just way stronger, right? Having Head Smash, Rockhead is a very dangerous ability. It gives me another E-Speed user. It's going to be a really strong breaker. Most of our team leans physically offensive, but like, Iron Valiant and Regieleki, especially offensive wise, is pretty much all you need. Like, the more that I think about it, the more I think that that'll definitely be enough on the special side. This also gave me another rocker, which we did need. Otherwise, a lot of the weight would have been on Garchomp because the other rockers we had won't be coming to a ton of games, I don't think. Yeah, it's a very solid Pokemon. I haven't used it yet, but I do know it's very strong. So I'm hoping to get some good usage out of this guy. It also has a 90 speed tier. I think I mentioned that already, but it was a speed tier we really needed, and I think was really valuable to the team. But yeah, like when you think about hitting Flare Blitz, like stab Flare Blitz, stab Rockhead off of like, or stab Flare Blitz, stab Head Smash off of Rockhead is gonna be crazy. With like band, like 90 speed is nothing to sneeze at, folks. So you can run Scarf with that. You can do a lot with this Pokemon. And it won't even matter, like, even if our team was more physically offensive, I think Vulcan is just smashing holes in it anyway. Oh, I named it Vulcan, by the way, because of the, it's the Roman version of Hephaestus. So I thought that was pretty funny. I always name my Hephaestus is exclusive for my Heatrans, so I named this Vulcan because I thought it would kind of fit. Unless, I think I might change some names. If I have better names for them, I will. But for now, this is just the way of the road, I guess. Next switch we made would be the okay, this was something else that I thought was interesting. And so Staraptor was also on the board. It did lose Defog, which brought it down to 8 points, but this guy being only 8 points I think is a steal. Base 100 speed kind of ties it with Garchomp, but that's okay. I think this thing has Intimidate, which is really great, which gives us a double Intimidate core. We are a little weak on the especially defensive side, but I think we can play around that. Assault Vest is in fact an item, and we have screens. We have 2 reliable screen setters. So I'm pretty happy with that. Valor has really like great abilities. Like Reckless is a really good ability. It kind of is similar to Arcanine, except it's not as good, right? It gives us Tailwind and U-Turn, which is really nice. Heat Wave is always good for the one time. Close Combat and Brave Bird and Double Edge all doing huge amounts of damage off rip. But yeah, very simple guy. It's gonna be running boots a lot, but obviously honestly every flying type is gonna be running boots in this metagame. Like, I don't think you have the agency not to, unless you have really good removal. Like, even in my team, I have good removal, but I don't think I'd risk like not running boots unless I'm like a Scarf or a Band. Like, I think honestly it's not really worth it. I also thought about giving this Terra, but that was before I picked Aleki. I think Aleki is only good if it has Terra as well. Like I mentioned, like obviously not only good, like it can still do stuff, but I don't think it's as good if it doesn't have electric. Like, I think it's bad. But yes, Staraptor is here. Stab Quick Attack as well for the priority is awesome, which I did value. Even though we have the fastest Pokemon in the game, there is still a bunch of stuff that's going to be faster than Iron Valiant down, so we will need a little bit of help with that. But yeah, this is our next pick. We have a few slots missing. I think we're pretty cool with fairy switch-ins, which is what I'm worried about the most, honestly. We don't have a ground type, or we do have a ground type. I'm actually an idiot. Garchomp is literally part ground. Yeah, our type tree is actually pretty solid here. I'm not too, and everything we added on is actually too good as well. We do need a dark type, and so I did pick up Murkrow for 1 point. Mischief the Murkrow is solid. I think Murkrow is probably the best 1 point that was on the board, in my opinion. I think there's like a couple other things that I could have rocked with, but honestly, what is this Pokemon actually called? Murkrow. I always call it Mischief because I usually just name it Mischief. But yeah, Prankster is a great ability. It also gives you like, Prankster's good. It's a very good Pokemon. Like, this guy I think is another thing that I think is like a steal at 1 point. Like honestly, I would pay 3 points for this guy and really not mind it. It gives us in a violate holder. Honestly though, we don't really love getting knocked, but like it's not too big of a deal. It also gives us U-turn. And dark types really are honestly there to stop me from getting completely mollywopped and spanked by a stored power Pokemon. A Violet Murkrow is amazing though. It is very bulky. Priority Roost is really good. Priority Perish Song, priority Tailwind, priority, Whirlwind, like all, not priority Whirlwind. I was really stupid of me to say. I read a different move. But yeah, very simple guy. There's a lot of good things, but I'll play support very strong. Wait before I run Banded Brave Bird on all you guys, and you'll be crying. But yeah, solid Pokemon. I'm excited to use it. Hopefully it'll come to a bunch of games. I think it will be. I will rely on this a lot actually, but we'll see. Last pick, we picked up Discombobulated. This is a poison type because even though I didn't have a ton of points, I wanted a poison type just so that I could threaten. What is this guy called? I can't even remember. Swalot? Yes, Swalot. Alright, sick. But yeah, I mean, I think Swalot is really good. Liquid Ooze is a very funny ability. I think it's quite interesting. Sticky Hold is also, I picked it for Sticky Hold. There are a couple poisons down there, but I picked this one because it had Sticky Hold, which I think pairs well with Murkrow if I do need to bring them back to back. Destiny Bond, Pain Split, Thunder Wave, Toxic, and it does get Toxic Spikes, which is what I wanted. I think this thing having spikes makes it more valuable than 2 points. In my opinion, like again, I think Hazard Pokemon are all way more valuable than they were priced at. Like I genuinely think I could have, like, people would pay. Like that's the thing. I think it's like the value is interesting how it works out because in the metagame, a lot of the top threats are like weak to Fairy. If you think about it, like if you look at the top threats, you got Iron Valiant, Dragapult, Chien-Pao, Roaring Moon, like all of those guys super weak to Fairy, and then a lot of the good guys that aren't like at the top, like Garchomp and like Annihilate, are also fighting. And so something like Quaxly, which does a really good job, kind of requires you to pick like higher picks that aren't going to stack too many Fairy type weaknesses, because Quaxly, or not Quaxly, but the evolved form of Quaxly, Quaquaval or whatever, that guy, he didn't go drafted at all. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think he's actually probably the best spinner in the tier, maybe, other than obviously Great Tusk. But yeah, that is the team. Hopefully I didn't ramble for too long. This is the team going into the WPF season. I don't know what season they're on, but season 1 for us. But yeah, this is the team we have. This is the guys we're rocking with. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully you have a good night. Goodbye. God bless. Have a great day.